Hello, 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 and welcome to NKay Solutions Unlocking Alternative Funding Free Masterclass. I am so excited to be hosting this masterclass tonight because it is something that I have heard from many of the privileges I have had to work with community organizations and just to be literally a community organization's best friend and us kicking the bobos. I have found that funding is one of the most trivial and like thorns of the side of a community organization. Because unfortunately, as we know, sometimes the numbers don't be adding up, okay? And grants be running out, and your pockets is running thin. Um, so that is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about unlocking alternative funding that you can use that's outside of grants that can help you sustain and grow your community within your organization. So I thank you all for being here tonight. I truly do. And I hope that you get some value of this presentation. So, like I said, welcome to Unlocking Alternative Funding Free Masterclass. What we will be discussing today throughout this masterclass is one, what you may have been doing wrong, two, basic community organization foundations that you need, three, four key elements to unlocking alternative funding, and four, your next steps. Okay. All right. So, who am I? You're probably wondering, who am I and why does she care so much about my community organization and if they have any money or if we're doing what we say we want to do? And for those of you who do not know me, my name is Kyndal and I am the founder and CEO of NKay Solutions. NKay Solutions came about literally utilizing the gifts that God gave me. And the reason why I am so passionate about helping community organizations is because community organizations have played an intricate part in my own life. From the moment that I was born till literally to this day, I have benefited from somebody like yourself giving me a second chance, giving me educational experience, giving me mentorship, or just being there to support me through a really tough time and guiding me through that processes by providing me with the tools that I needed or the support or a helping hand. Whatever it was at that time, community organizations gave it to me. I did not find a lot of my support and help from family and friends. It came from people like you. And I'm sure it is the reason why you do what you do today so that you can help more people like me. I went from being a homeless 20-year-old out in the street with a 1-week-old baby, suffering from postpartum depression, um, just going through the motions of not knowing who I was in Christ, my value, my worth, my purpose, to somebody who can now walk into knowing what my purpose is. For somebody who now is, you know, confident in the fact that I know that God loves me and He's here for me and that He has plans for me and that He has a purpose for me and that I have valuable gifts that He's given me that can help somebody, particularly like yourself. I'm hoping today in this masterclass that I share something with you that resonates with you, that turns on a light bulb and that really gets you from the step that you're at right now with the lack of funding to thinking out of the box and getting some creative ways on how you can move forward with producing consistent revenue for your community organization that you need. If you haven't already, I have a free e-guide that you are able to tap into that has 20 possible funding ideas that you can use for your community organization. If you don't have that, I encourage you to click the link so that you are able to get that information. It is free to you and it is truly helpful in giving you some of those creative possibilities that you can use to produce revenue for your organization. So, with that being said, let's get into the meat and potatoes, okay? Let's get into unlocking alternative funding. And in order for us to move forward to get the resolve or get the resolution that we're looking for, we first have to know what we're doing wrong. And with that, I want you to think about, what do you think you may have or are doing wrong currently to where you are not seeing the consistent revenue you need to maintain your community organization. And when I say maintain your community organization, I don't mean just in programs, but I also mean on the back end, the operational side, like your website, your email, the building where you might be hosting. Are these things that consistently come up that are a burden, or where you're finding yourself using your own funds to support these operational costs or these program costs that you need to run your organization? So I want you to really think about that. Think about some things that you think you might be doing wrong that may be causing you um, some hindrance and consistent revenue in your organization. While you're thinking about that, I'm going to go on and share with you some common things that I see that community organizations are doing that kind of hinders them in consistent revenue for their organization. One, a lot of community organizations are using their own personal funds from their own pocket to fund their projects within their org. And that can be absolutely exhausting, okay? Whether you have the funds or not, that is not how this is supposed to go, especially if you have a 501c3 nonprofit where you are eligible for grants. A lot of people are like, ugh, why am I using my own money? Now, if you do have grants and you find that your grants are running out and you don't have any grants lined up, or you're waiting to hear from grants, or your organization is solemnly dependent on grant funding, that's not good either. So that can be another issue as well, that you have put all of your eggs in a grant basket. Okay, I'm gonna need you not to do that. Another thing is you're not having effective fundraising strategies or having effective fundraisers. And when I say that, it doesn't mean that just because you had a goal to raise, I don't know, $500 from the calendar fundraiser you put out there and you were only able to raise 300, it doesn't necessarily mean that that fundraiser was ineffective. There are other things that go into making sure that a fundraiser is effective that might have been the loophole that caused you not to meet your goal. And so we're going to talk about that. You may not be leveraging the connections that you have with others to the full extent, okay? So maybe you know a lot of people, or a lot of people know you, but you're not leveraging those connections to your community organization's benefit, and we're going to talk about that. You may be begging, but not building. That is very important. And when I say that you're begging and not building, I mean you're not building those key relationships and building your network strategies, marketing strategies, building your organization with making sure that you have the um, solidified foundation that you need in order to be asking people for money. Okay? You also may not have a funding strategy, which is very, very important. A lot of people think that, okay, we're going to put on this event. Let's put on this event. And all they need to do is make sure that they have a venue and some food and a place for people to sit. There is so much more that goes into um, creating a funding strategy that makes sure that whatever way you decide to fund is effective that you need to know. Another thing that people are doing wrong is they believe that because they have a nonprofit that they can't be paid for services, and that is not true. Literally, being a nonprofit allows you to have that tax exempt status, and anybody that gives into your organization is allowed to get some tax exemption too. And that is a plus and a benefit. Of course, it opens up doors for you to receive grants, which a lot of people want people to be non-tax based when they receive grants because they don't want majority of their money going back to Uncle Sam when you really need that money from that grant to help your community. And so those are the benefits of being a nonprofit, but it doesn't mean that you cannot have revenue streams for your community organization. Another thing I see a lot of community organizations do is that they are doing this alone. If you find yourself doing this alone, honey, this is going to be a long road, or it's going to be a real short one because you're going to give up. And trust me and believe me, if you give up, you're giving up on the community that needs you. And that's why I'm here, because I don't want to see that. Because I know if somebody would have gave up on their organization, I wouldn't be here today. I definitely wouldn't be here today. And we would have a problem because your girl would still be out here in these streets, depressed, under a rock, not knowing what to do, doing all kinds of wrong things. And that is just not what life is about. That's not why God created me. I want to walk in my purpose. And what you guys do is you give people purpose. Whether you're giving out hygiene bags, whether you're providing them with a bologna sandwich, or you're doing mentorship work or providing financial education, whatever it is you may be doing is important. Okay? And you need to note that. All right. And last but not least, I find a lot of people just don't have the basic community organization foundations that they need to set their organization up for success, to sustain and grow, and then also be in position to effectively produce revenue streams for their organization. And we're going to talk about that today as well. All right, so basic community organization foundation. What do you think are some things that you need to have to give basic community organization foundation? Like what are those things look like? What do those elements consist of? What do you need? I know I was kind of tongue-tied when I said that, but what exactly is it that you need to have to make sure you have a solid foundation for your organization? That's it. That's what I'm trying to say. I'll let you think about it before I reveal to you what I think are some great bases that you should have when having a community organization. All right. So Here are some basic foundations that a community organization should have. 1, your why. Honey, if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, I don't know what to tell you. You have got to know why you're doing what it is you're doing, okay? Because literally, that is what's going to be the fuel to keep your fire burning. If your why is not strong enough, then you're not going to do what it is that you need to do. Your why is what's going to tell your community organization story. And you need to be able to know that so that you can articulate that to donors, to funders, to sponsorships, at events, networking, marketing. You need to be able to execute that at any time so that you can pull at the heartstrings you need to pull to get the money that you need. Okay? So, number 1, no, well, I'm not going to put a number on it. Just know your why. But for me, that's number 1. I got to have a reason to do what I'm doing. But yeah. The next one is some solid support. Y'all got to have some heavy hitters. And when I say heavy hitters, I'm not talking about, oh yeah, girl, I'll help you with that. And you have to chase them down all the time. You're talking to them about the things that you want to do for your organization, but they never come up with any ideas, or they're never there to help you or to try to guide you through this process. They just literally people's names who's on a piece of paper that allowed you to have a board or a membership committee. No, you need some active folks. And you need some active folks that are not only going to be able to help you with the operational end of your organization, but you need some people that's going to be able to get on some boots in the ground and actively help you with some events and do some things. Even if they're virtual, there are still things that they can be assigned to do that can help you and make producing revenue for your community organization a whole lot easier. So you want to make sure that you have some solid supporters and help. A strategic plan. Now, anybody that's been watching me or that know me know I'm the strategic plan queen when I tell you, you got to have a strategic plan in order to do anything. What are your objectives? What is the objective here? What is your organization doing? Once you know what you're doing, then you're going to know what exactly the funding you need in order to do what it is you're trying to do. Okay? The strategic plan has many elements, including marketing and funding strategies and a budget that's going to help you with being able to kind of tailor-made this process, okay? Make it real easy. Give you a blueprint, a startup, okay? So let's make sure we have a strategic plan. If you don't have a strategic plan and you need help with a strategic plan, you need to holler at your girl because I can definitely help you. A next thing is a budget plan. A budget is so important because within the budget, it tells you what you need to be doing to fund your organization. You need to have a budget plan that breaks down operational costs. You need to have a budget plan that breaks down program costs. And within that needs to be broke down too. If you know that you have 3 different programs within your organization, then you need to have a budget plan for all 3 of those programs, and you need to have operational costs for all 3 of those programs that are outside the original operational costs for the organization. You feel me? So that's going to take some time. That's going to take you to truly think about it. So you and your heavy hitters need to get together and think about exactly what does your budget look like. Once you know your budget, then you can start with a funding plan and strategy. Now that you know how much you need, okay, we know that it's going to take us $2,000 to put on the back to school event. Now we need a funding plan. What are some ways that we're going to fund this? Make sure you're doing your funding plan months ahead of time and not a month before the event. That's another thing. Unless you just mad tight with your connections and you know they got money on deck and they ready to just give you $2,000, boo, you need to be planning months ahead of time. Both of these things that I talked about, the strategic plan, the budget plan, the funding plan, all of these things need to be done months before. Technically, a strategic plan should last you throughout the year. But as you do your quarterly analysis, there may be changes that you might need to do. But you want to make sure that you already know what you need before you need it. Okay? Ain't nobody got time for no last minute. Dang, in order for us to put on this event, we still need $2,000 or we ain't going to have no food. You giving yourself a month to come up with $2,000, but you haven't leveraged your contacts. You haven't marketed the way you need to market. You only using one marketing platform and you're not tracking that and how that's doing. Honey, there is a lot that goes into this. I'm going to share these things with you, but I just want you to know that having these things as a foundation is going to help you be able to set you up for success for financial revenue consistently with your organization. Next is a marketing plan. People be sleeping on marketing, okay? Because marketing is what's going to get you in front of other people than just the folks that's around you. That's just the people in your community, okay? And now how everything is set up with social media, boo, you can market to somebody in Saudi Arabia and they can give money to you. You have got to have a marketing plan. And not only do you have to have a marketing plan, but you also have to consistently be checking and tracking your marketing plan and make sure that it's working. Because, boo, if it ain't working and you ain't getting no new leads, then you need to go back and you need to figure out what you need to transition so that you can start getting some new leads. And last but not least, outcomes. You've heard me say it. Outcomes is you literally seeing if what you're offering through your programs is valuable, is actually meeting the mission you have at hand, actually solving the problem in the community. But having outcomes is also tracking your progress. You should be tracking your progress in all of these plans, your strategic plan, your funding plan, your marketing plan, every step of the way. Some people track their progress once a year. Some people track it every 6 months. But depending on what you have going on, you may need to track that bad boy every month. If you know that you have a Christmas event, okay, and you're done what you need to do, you did your budget plan, you got your funded plan, you got your funded strategy, you know how you're going to market for the Christmas event, and you started marketing for the Christmas event in September, when you knew kids was going back to school, then in the end of September or October, you need to be seeing how that's going. Are you meeting the income revenue yet? Are you getting the prospective donors and sponsors that you were looking for? Are you reaching the people that you needed to reach? Like, is your current marketing plan really working? And if it ain't, if you knew that by the middle of November, before Thanksgiving, you needed 250 guests confirmed and paid, and you only got 100, you're going to have to dial back and figure out where are the loopholes. And the only way you can figure out where the loopholes is if you've done those plans and you've done those plans strategically so that you can find out what's in between the lines that you need to tweak. Okay? So these are the foundations that you need to have in order to have some successful continuous revenue into your community organization. Now, once you have this, let's get into the next step. And that's the 4 key elements you need in order to unlock alternative funding. We're going to get into it. The first question I ask you is, what is alternative funding? A lot of people are like, okay, you're talking about Alternative funding, alternative funding, alternative funding. What does that look like? Alternative funding is anything that is outside of grants. Okay. So that is money that has nothing to do with grants. Now, this is just my definition. Google might say something else, but this is how I classify alternative funding. And alternative funding is literally tapping into your creativity so that you can start thinking outside the box and be able to really iron in on creating multiple streams for your community organization. The first thing or the first key element that I want to talk about is building relationships and networking. And within building relationships and networking, I want to talk about 5 aspects of that, okay? The first one is know your community organization story. And I talked about that a little bit in the beginning. And I say that is so important because when somebody asks you, oh, what's your organization about? You could tell them like, oh yeah, we ensure that girls know, girls know who they are and they are self-confident and they have the self-confidence they need to set out to be whatever it is that they want to be. Oh, that's nice. Do you know how many people is doing that? Like, think about what that person is thinking in their head. Like, oh, that's real nice. I wish I would have had something like that out there when I was doing that. There's a lot of organizations out there that's doing that. What makes yours so different? This is where your community organization comes in. This is where your why comes in. This is where you tap into the heartstring. Your story is what's going to tug that person to want to give them your card, to want to give them your money, give them their money, give you their money. That is so important. Know that. Okay? 2, and not only just know that, but there's a strategic way that you need to be able to tell somebody that in a short period of time, okay? It's almost like an elevator pitch. But you want to make sure that your elevator pitch sets you apart from all of the other organizations and tugs at somebody's heartstrings to where they want to be a part of what you have to offer for the community. Number 2, market. Marketing is important when you're building relationships and when you're networking because it's putting you in front of an audience, okay? It's putting you in front of not only your prospective community that you want to help, but it's also putting you in front of other organizations that might be doing the same thing as you. It may put you in front of philanthropists. It may put you in front of donors or sponsors. In every aspect, these individuals are important, even if y'all are doing the same thing. Because, like I said, alternative funding is thinking outside of the box. You and that organization may be able to get together and use both of your connections to host one big event that can produce some revenue for both of you all's organization. This is not a competition. Let me say that again. When you have a community organization, this is not a competition, boo. You are out here helping the community. However you need to help them, if doing it by yourself ain't working, and if you can partner with somebody else and they willing to partner with you, and not only can you help the people that you want to serve, but you can help a broader audience, girl, what's the problem? The only way that would be a problem is if you have your community organization for yourself. The only way it's going to be a problem is if you have a community organization because you're stroking your ego. That's not why we have a community org. And I know that is not why you started your community organization. Y'all not selfish people. So market, grow your audience. Don't be afraid to work with others. Nurture those connections. And there are ways to nurture those connections. I see this a lot. CEOs of organizations, they go to different events. They get all these business cards, right? Whether you're snatching them off the table or whether you've made actual face-to-face communication and contact, they snatch them business cards, and where do those business cards go? They go in that nice bag that they gave you when you went to the event with all of the information and all the stuff. And then when you go home, you set that bag down. Do you ever go back to them business cards? More than likely, no. When you do go back to them business cards is when you have a big event and you're like, oh, I met so and so, or oh, I remember at this table they said they can do this and this and this and this. And you was at that event 2, 3, 6 months ago. Then people don't remember you. Or maybe you never talked to them in the first place, right? And you talking about an event that you about to put on that you want them to help you with, and then you found them 6 months ago, 3 months ago, and you just now reaching out. That's like asking somebody that you don't know for money. Now, you can do it because organizations do it all the time. But there's a way to do it. Put some Vaseline on it before you stick it to them. Nurture the relationship. As soon as you leave that event, you should be making contact. You should be adding them to your contact list. Okay? They should be in your email rotation of all the events that you're offering. And outside of that, you should be having some one-on-one follow-up connection that has nothing to do with your automatic emails. Check on your people. That's what my girl Jarkeisha says. Check on your people. Check on the people you took them business cards from. Okay? Follow up with them. Build trust. This is so important because in order to get folks to give you money when you have an organization, you need to be doing these things. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for you to get funding. And that GoFundMe account going to remain with them $25 that somebody donated and you need $5,000. I'm just saying. A person will give a bum on the street more money than they will give you as a community organization when you don't do these things. It's like they held you to a certain standard. You ever notice how some people in your family will help a stranger before they even help their family member? Need I say more? Build those relationships in your networking community. The next key element I want to talk about is effective fundraising. All right. So, effective fundraising, like I said, is alternative funding, alternative thinking, have an open mind, and use yours and your support system, your heavy hitters, your helpers, creativity in order to create some outstanding fundraising ideas. Now, you can go with the common ones, a car wash, a gala, but there's things out here that y'all can really tap into to make even your car wash or your gala stand out from any other organization's event. When somebody comes to your fundraiser, you want them to be like, dang, that fundraiser was so good. Like, I couldn't help but I was so moved. I couldn't help but open my pocket. And I hadn't planned on giving nothing because I had already paid $25 for the ticket. So I didn't plan on giving nothing when they had the little donation sheet because I'm like, boo, I already paid $25 to get in. But once they get in, and if you truly connect with those members, if you truly have an effective fundraising plan on how you going to tug at them heartstrings, then boo, you may can get some more money. So think creatively so that your fundraiser can be better than the last fundraiser. Okay? Have a fundraising plan. With each fundraiser that you decide to do, you should have a plan for it. It doesn't matter if one of your fundraisers is an event and the other fundraiser is a popcorn strategy, a popcorn plan. You should have a strategy for both. You should have outcomes that you're tracking for both. Because what's going to happen is with a plan, you're going to be able to see where the loopholes may have been to where you may didn't meet your fundraising objective. Or if you did meet your fundraising objective and it was outstanding, then boo, you're going to know what you did right. With that plan, it's going to have everything laid out and you're going to be able to see who's in charge of what, where did this go, how did this happen, what you doing those outcomes and tracking it each step of the way. You're going to be able to see what was most effective and what wasn't. And it's going to help you make your next fundraising strategies even more effective so you can raise more money. Okay? You may even be able to put on more fundraisers, which can increase your revenue. Be persistent. Don't give up. When I say be persistent, I don't care if you only see one person, that is engaging with your fundraising strategy before the actual event. Nurture that one person and look at your plan to see what you need to do different next time. Don't give up. Be persistent. And if you have already been persistent and you are tired, it's probably because you're doing this by yourself. Like I said, go back to those foundations because those foundations are going to help you prevent burnout when trying to produce this revenue. Having a community organization ain't easy. If you haven't realized that, you will soon notice that. Unless you're a multimillionaire and got so much money to where you can fund all of this stuff on your own, then basically you got a foundation or something of that nature, or a charitable organization where you giving most of the money, then maybe it's not that hard for you because you've already got that set up. But I'm talking about the people who's broke. I'm talking to the organizations out here that's broke, that's using their own money. The grant funding is depleted, is not there. I'm talking to you. The next element that you can tap into is fee for service and merchandise sales. So remember when I said a lot of people think that because they have a nonprofit, they can't profit off of anything, and that's not true. As long as the money that you are receiving from your merchandise or from your fee for service is going into your organization and not going into your own personal account where you paying your rent and you paying your ice cream and your kids ice cream, then honey, it's good. If you're using that money for operational costs and for program costs related to your organization, you can do fee for service or merchandise sales. And your merchandise sales should be branded t-shirts, mugs, or other items like pens, journals, notebooks, whatever is pertaining to your organization. So if you are in the mentorship niche of your organization, everybody should have a journal. Everybody should have a binder or a workbook. Why not? You're giving them information where you are building their confidence, where you're changing their mindset. They need to take notes. They need to put your materials in something. So you should have a branded binder. Everything that you do, every event that you host, every workshop that you have, you should be wearing your branded t-shirts. You should have those. Because what's going to happen is when you out in the community and somebody see that, they're going to be like, oh, well, what's that organization? Or what does that mean? And they're going to ask you about it. Make sure you got some business cards. Yes, I said business cards. I know people don't like to have business cards anymore because everything is electronic, but you can still have a business card. If you don't, use a QR code that somebody can scan. Put the QR code on the t-shirt. Put the QR code on the mug. Okay? You can't put it on a pen, but put the QR code on your journal that routes them to a PayPal donate. Okay? That routes them to something where they can give their money. I'm just saying. So not only did they purchase something from you, but now if they want to continue to support you, they have a place where they can donate money. The next thing, fee for service. You can do fee for service in consultations, workshops, ebooks, guides, anything pertaining to what it is that you educate or teach. If you give out hygiene products to the community and you want to start teaching hygiene classes maybe for young girls so that they know how to carefully take care of themselves during their cycle or after birth, before birth, look. I was a part of an organization where we helped moms during their pregnancy and 1 year after they had their baby. And you'll be surprised how many times we've had people go into the hospital room unprepared hygienically. Educate them. Some things people don't know. Even I had to be educated on hygiene. I'm a grown woman. But the same deodorant, the same soap that I used when I was 15 don't work now when I'm 37. It just don't. You know, I done had quite a few hormonal changes that's going on, you know? So that education can truly help me. You can charge other organizations or other businesses for your consultations, your workshops, your ebooks, or your guides. That is a stream of revenue that you can use for whatever you need to use it for programming or operational costs. You'll know what you need to use it for because you did a budget. And you'll know exactly where that money need to go. The last element I want to talk about is membership and sponsorships. A lot of people do not tap into this. Well, I won't say a lot of people won't tap into it. I have seen a lot of people doing memberships now. But they don't tap into the fact that you can have your board members pay a membership. Your board members' membership would probably be more than what it is you're offering the community. Your community members or the community participants might pay $30 to be a part of your membership, right? But your board might have a $200 membership fee annually. If they can't do that, then maybe they can do a $200 fundraising commitment. Okay? Excuse me. These are other ways that you can tap into to be able to get revenue for your organization. And a lot of times I say use membership fees for operational costs, like housing your website, using your email platform that you send out your automatic newsletters and events and things of that nature. Use that for operational costs because that's consistent. Membership fees, you know, they either come in annually, monthly, quarterly. So you can, you know, budget according for some of your operational costs based off of just the membership fees. And that'll be one aspect of your organization that you don't have to raise money for. That's already being taken care of right through memberships. The other thing is sponsorships. Sponsorships are great because maybe they will give you all of the items you need to house your mentorship program. Maybe you need journals, binders, pencils, paper. Maybe they will be a sponsor of that particular program and they'll give you all those items. That's a possibility too. Everything doesn't have to be money, because what happens is when it's something that you don't have to get, that's one less thing that you have to raise funds for. You can even have somebody sponsor food, and whatever they decide to donate, say they're going to do the catering for your event, and normally that would be, $1,500. That's quite high, but let's say normally it would have been $500 for them to cater your event. You give them a tax write-off for catering your event. If you're not a nonprofit and you can't give them a tax write-off because you're not 501c3 certified, then what I would advise you to do is to allow them to have like their business or something upon your platform, so it brings them more more of an audience, so that they can get business that might supplement the costs of their free service they offered you. So don't sleep on sponsorships, okay? Don't sleep on. So those are the 4 key elements. And if you missed them, the 4 key elements is building relationships and networking, effective fundraising, fee for service and merchandise sales, and memberships and sponsorships. Now, with me doing all of this talking, you may be saying, dang, Kyndal, you told me a lot, and I want to start implementing some of these things that you told me. If you need help implementing these elements to unlock alternative funding, I'm here to help you. I have created an Unlocking Alternative Funding mini course just for you. In that mini course, I provide you with guided instruction on how to implement each aspect of all the 4 key elements. With each of the 4 key elements, it comes with a workbook that has fill in the blank or done for you templates that you can use to aid in this journey of you trying to get this alternative funding. So for each element, I have a done for you template or a template that you use to just fill in the blank that's going to help you along the way. So for instance, let's say if it's building relationships, I have a pre-made email or letter that you can send to that individual within 7 days of you meeting them, so that you can start that relationship process. Okay? I have tracking mechanisms that you can use throughout your effective fundraising strategy. I have a template that is filled in that you can use that is an example of an effective raising strategy that you can use to make sure that your fundraising process goes as smooth as possible. So these are some of the examples of what you get within this course. Last but not least, you'll get a free 30-minute session with me that you are able to tap into after you complete the course and after you filled in your workbook and everything, so that me and you can go over it and we can talk about whatever fundraising strategy you decided to use and kind of iron out that process and make sure you're on a good foot to get going. Now, the total value of this particular mini course is $1,341. But because I just love you all, I am offering it to you at a discounted price. So if you are ready to start funding your community organization without solely relying on grants, then this mini course is for you. If there are no further questions and you have questions for me, please, 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 you can message me at NKay.solutions on Instagram. You can send me a DM, or you can go to my website and you can contact me. I am here to help you. If you want to send me an email, you can send me an email at kyndal@nksolutions.com. All of the aspects of how you can contact me will be at the bottom of this course, or at all the aspects of how you can contact me will be at the bottom of this masterclass. I hope that something that I shared with you resonated with you. And if for whatever reason you're like, girl, I ain't buying your mini course, at least grab the free e-guide and keep this masterclass on replay to kind of give you some tips and tricks on how you can manage this crazy fundraising, this crazy funding world out here in these community organization streets. Because, honey, it is not easy. All right? Until next time, community changers, I thank you so much for your time and your patience. And I thank you for allowing me to share this with you all. Take your vision to community change lives, and produce purpose. And until next time, peace.